That first year, the theme was around genetically modified foods and that issue. Interesting, Alaska kind of has a distinction of not really being a GMO state, and some people have thought we should market that. And that brought up a conversation about food waste. And our next year, the theme was on food waste. And I think a really great success story out of that is working with Representative Dave Tellerico. He then the following year introduced a measure about food waste, and that measure ended up passing. And what that does is actually makes it easier for organizations to donate food. So that was a very positive, meaningful outcome of this. So I wanted to say that. I noticed we have some of our new legislators and staff on this, that one really fun thing about this is, when these policy ideas come up in these conversations and these connections are made. So Representative Dave Tellerico did that great bill on food waste. Then we moved into talking about Alaska agriculture in 2016. And then in 2017, as the co-chair of the Resources Committee, we started having a agriculture week in the Resources Committee. So we've done that 2017, 18, 19, and 20. And that's been a lot of fun to really highlight all of the opportunities and bring that conversation into that committee in a stronger way, we hope, than maybe has been in the past, and just again kind of make more connections. We are such a big state. We have to work really hard to stay connected to each other and make sure that we know where those opportunities exist. So that brings us to Food Security Week 2021. I am really excited to be collaborating with Representative Mike Cronk, Representative George Rauscher, and Representative Liz Snyder, also as co-sponsors of this week's events, all people with their own resumes and passion on food security and agriculture issues. And I know throughout the event, you'll get to hear from them as well. So also thinking about it, in terms of this longevity, that I think when we started this, that the Food Policy Council actually hadn't even begun. I don't think the Food Policy Council was in existence, and the Food Coalition didn't exist either. So I think that's also just evidence of this movement strengthening, not just these efforts, but also just because through these efforts, we're all getting more connected and learning more. So I hope more learning takes place today. I'm really excited to see how many people could participate. And I want to just thank you for the collaboration and the opportunity to work together. And I hope, one of our successes that comes out of 2021 will be working together in a bipartisan way with all of you to improve food security in Alaska. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Representative Tarr. Hi, everybody. I am Cara Durr. I am the Director of Public Engagement for Food Bank of Alaska. Big thank you to everyone for being here. We certainly wish we were in Juneau with you as we normally are during this week, but this is good as well. Want to extend a big thank you to Representative Tarr and to the other sponsors of Food Security Week, including Representatives Rauscher, Snyder, and Cronk. Thanks so much for participating in this with us and being partners in this work. So just a few housekeeping notes for everybody. We are recording this meeting, so you can always take yourself off video if you want. As typical with Zoom, please mute yourself unless you're talking. You can feel free to use the chat if you have questions. We'll probably hold questions to the end, but we can also answer in the chat as we go. You can also use the raise hand function, which is found under reactions if you want to make a comment. So today I am joined by members of the Alaska Food Coalition from all across the state, and we are really looking forward to sharing the impacts that we've seen on hunger from COVID-19. Hunger has really been an issue on the forefront of the pandemic. We've all seen the images of cars lined up for miles outside of food distributions, whether that's in the news or in your own communities. Our network has seen really big increases in the number of clients that we're serving, and many of those clients are ones that we are seeing for the first time. So today we're going to share some data around what hunger looks like in Alaska right now. We're going to share some on-the-ground perspectives from our partners on what they're seeing and the ways they're responding to this pandemic. And then we're going to just share a little bit about some of the federal nutrition programs that have really provided critical relief for Alaskans. So before we dive into all of that, just to kind of ground us, we wanted to share some of the very powerful testimonials that we have collected from those who have experienced hunger during this pandemic.
This year, we weren't even sure we'd be able to have a Thanksgiving dinner for the first time ever. It's truly a blessing to know that the stress of not being able to have dinner is behind us, and we are beyond grateful for the Thanksgiving blessing.
Thank you for helping our family in these financially stressful and unprecedented times. I never thought when we picked, click, and gift our PFDs that we would be availing the food bank's assistance this holiday. And for us, your kindness and precious volunteers are truly a refreshing godsend. For this, we are ever so grateful and thankful.
I normally volunteer every year, but unforeseen circumstances last year and now this year with the pandemic and significant financial hardships, I've had the experience of being a family in need of help. This box of holiday foods allows us to feel normal during a moment of difficulty. So thank you.
Kids are at home eating more than usual. Eating healthy in Nome costs so much money. Having them eat fresh fruits and veggies is so important to us.
Although I do not receive EBT benefits in general, this PEBT has helped me fill the freezer and cupboards with healthy food to make sure that my kids eat. It has helped taking the worry off my shoulders of how I can pay bills and put food on the table.
PEBT matters because my kids are home all day because of this pandemic. I'm a single mother of 2, and stretching my one paycheck has been stressful. The pandemic EBT came just at the right time to put more food in my cabinets for my kids.
Okay, thank you. You know, I know these are often hard to hear, these stories, but this is really what we are seeing. And for every one of the testimonials that we shared today, we have hundreds more of families that are going through this. So, so I mentioned that our network has seen big increases in the number of households that we're serving. In the first few months of the pandemic, we estimated that we saw a roughly 75% increase in need, and that need has continued. Last year, Food Bank of Alaska alone distributed almost 3 million more pounds than in 2019, which is a 34% increase, which is very significant. And the level of need among our partners and in different communities certainly varies, but almost all the partners we talk to have reported increases, and some are seeing increases in the 200, 300, 900% region. And then numbers, of course, fluctuate month to month. You know, we saw a little bit of relief in the summer months, but it certainly doesn't seem like things are slowing down. So just last week, we had the busiest week we have ever had to date at our Anchorage Sam's Club distribution of commodities. And then in December, our SNAP outreach team had the second highest month that they've ever seen as well. So those are just a few examples just to show that unfortunately the need is not going anywhere. So Feeding America has done some COVID food insecurity estimates, and they are estimating that the food security rate has risen to about 32%. So that is 125,000 Alaskans. Just a reminder, if you can all mute your line, we're getting a little bit of background noise. Thank you. So for kids, that rate has risen to 44%, which is 1 in 4 Alaskan kids who don't have enough to eat. The Kasilovac region in Alaska has become not only the most food insecure region in our state, but actually in the entire country, with 60% of kids estimated to be experiencing hunger. So I know these are certainly some sobering statistics, but now we want to turn to some of our partners to share the really, really incredible work that they are doing in response to this pandemic on the ground. So we've got a few videos to share because we thought that would be a nice visual so you can kind of see what's actually happening. And the first up is the Lutheran Church of Hope mobile food pantry distribution in Anchorage.
Hi everyone, I'm Alan Budal. I'm the Executive Director of Lutheran Social Services, and tonight we're here in front of the Lutheran Church of Hope at our mobile food pantry. We've been doing a mobile food pantry now for approximately 10 years. I think about as long as the programs have been a part of the Food Bank of Alaska. It is a great way for us to be able to distribute food that has a short shelf life, that needs to get out to people, and this is a wonderful way of doing it. So there's a lot of produce, dairy, and items that need to be distributed in a very fast way. Years past, we've always had everyone lining up in a line, but because of COVID-19 now, we had to completely change our operations and thoughts about it. We had to change the parking. We're asking everyone to remain in their cars. The only people outside now are volunteers who are braving this 12-degree weather today. So we're thankful because we can't do what we do without an army of volunteers. So everyone stays in their cars. We pass out registration packets. So each time they come, they just fill out a registration form, and then we have a volunteer collecting them. And that way we can now get everyone registered for the mobile food pantry. Our numbers here have been varying. It used to be we were serving about 120 families pre-COVID. Now it's anywhere from 160 to 260. It varies every week. Tonight we have a lot of berry products. We have grapes, we have dairy products. There's frozen meat tonight, which is always a big surprise when you have protein and meat products for your mobile. So, but it varies from week to week. We never know until the truck gets here. We have some volunteers that come in early to unload the truck and start bagging. So we try to do it by number in the vehicle. So we allow up to 3. One person can have a proxy, but we kind of encourage families to ride together. So we might have 2, 3 families in a car, just so it saves on parking in the parking lot. You know, we're here every Tuesday, regardless of the weather. We're here when it's pouring down rain. We're here when it's 12 degrees. So but again, I can't do it without the volunteers, and for that we are eternally grateful.
Great. So my name's Eve. I'm the Alaska Food Coalition Program Manager, and I am going to kind of guide you through the state as we hear from some other partners now. So next we're going to go down to the Kenai Peninsula and hear a little bit from Greg Meyer, the Executive Director of the Kenai Peninsula Food Bank. So Greg, if I can hand things over to you, and then I will hit play after your brief intro.
Hi.
Greetings. It's just great to be a part of the group today and see what other people are doing. I think we've all just done an amazing job with our staff and our volunteers to adjust and adapt and accommodate. And I thank you for all the help that we get from the Food Bank of Alaska. That's invaluable to us.
My name is Greg Meyer. I'm the director here at the Kenai Bank, and we welcome you. We're excited to be able to show you what we have been doing here in Soldotna. This year obviously has been a challenge. The past year with the pandemic, we have gone from about 1.2 million pounds of food a year to distribute. Last year we distributed 2.25 million pounds, about double what we have been doing in the past. We also have about tripled our output of meals in our soup kitchen, a fireweed diner.
All right, my name is Cal Mullen. I work for the Food Bank. I'm a truck driver / warehouse worker. And before this pandemic started, we never went outside of Kenai. And now when the pandemic started, we went from Kenai to Sauder.
We had 3 people out at the same time. So that involved us cross-training. So everyone in the food bank here can step in and do anything, whether they need to help in the kitchen or in the warehouse or drive a truck or step in and do data entry. And so there's been some real positive things there that have come along from that.
I'm the receptionist here at Food Bank. My job used to be I'd receive a customer, they would shop, and then they would disperse with their food. Now they come in, I do all the shopping for them. They're not in here more than 5 minutes. We're trying to keep, chances down.
You guys do an awesome job. You have a wonderful selection here. You take care of me and my family so we don't go hungry every month. I appreciate you very much.
Hi, I'm Chef Steven. I prepare meals here 5 days a week at the Kenai Peninsula Food Bank. We do about 100 to 150 meals approximately a day. Since the pandemic, we have had limited interaction with people, and we have had to serve through a window. Our dining room is now a staging area for multiple food programs.
When the federal government responded to the pandemic needs by sending CARES Act money to the states and municipalities, the city of Soldotna invited a group of us to get together and brainstorm what kinds of things that the community needed. At that time, food was a big need, and out of those meetings came the idea that the city of Soldotna would partner with the food bank and help us financially so that we could put together food bags.
It was such a blessing to be able to pick up the produce boxes with the fresh vegetables and the fruits. My granddaughter has celiac, so the fresh stuff was just great. And the bags were good because sometimes we found special things in there for her too. It was just a pleasure to be able to pick them up.
Hi, I'm Linda Tannehill. I'm a member of the Kenai Peninsula Food Bank Board of Directors. We have a very caring and diversely talented group of people on our board. So myself and the committee members have been volunteering Saturdays to help assemble the CARES Act bags for our Kenai and Soldotna neighbors.
The city of Soldotna took over the funding of our operation, which was a huge weight off of our shoulders. And we have started distributing shelf-stable products from the food bank. We go to the food bank once a week to bag these, and then we are a distribution site for them as well as the city of Kenai.
We have adapted in so many different ways throughout all of this, and part of this has been that we've gone to 7 days a week in the warehouse and helping with assembled bags, and the staff here has been phenomenal, and the volunteers to step up and meet that challenge. It's such an amazing community. We have just had this outpouring of support, and it's only by working together we've been able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish. And if there's some good that comes out of what we have been going through, it's the fact that we have built beautiful relationships from Homer on out all the way over to Nikiski and all around the whole peninsula. And so grateful for that. And this has truly been a community effort. And together we have been able to keep our neighbors fed, and we will be able to do that into the future.
Thanks so much, Greg, for that video. I'm going to pass things off now to Lisa Sauder with Beans Cafe, who I believe I saw on the call. So we're going back to Anchorage, and she's going to share a little bit about the changes that they've made, and the video will show a tour of their new shelter. And this video I think is really important to show because it shows the importance of having lots of different services in one place so that people can access everything that they need at one time. So Lisa, if you want to do a brief introduction.
Sure. Well, as I'm sure many of you are aware, we are working with the Emergency Operations Center here in Anchorage and are operating the Sullivan Arena as a mass emergency shelter. We've been doing that since March 21st. We have a maximum capacity right now of about 400 people in the shelter, and we have several hundred people that have been decompressed out of shelter into an additional congregate site and into non-congregate sites, typically being hotel rooms. And so we've worked really hard to make sure that everyone in our community that needs access to both food and shelter are able to obtain that this winter. And we are seeing more and more people literally every day coming to shelter that have never been in this position before. We've also had to stand up 2 warming tents in the parking lot to ensure that no one is left outside in the cold at night. And we've been able to successfully do that with the help of many of our partners. You know, our biggest focus now is how do we increase shelter exits and help people find that pathway to self-sufficiency. And we're working on that every day with our navigation team that we've stood up, as well as our many amazing community partners that help with housing and treatment and behavioral health. So it's really taken the entire community to come together to make sure that we're able to provide all the resources necessary for folks basically under one roof. And we've had to completely change our food delivery systems too, but that's a whole nother story. But enjoy the video.
Anybody that is capable of caring for themselves, so long as they are not a danger to others. Because it's a low barrier shelter, we as Beans Cafe have to be really conscious of safety and to try to make people as secure and safe when they come inside these walls. People that are new to homelessness, they first come in with a sense of fear and trepidation. They are not sure how safe being in a homeless shelter is. And so our #1 priority is to have this as a place that is free of active criminal activity and that we are accountable to people's health and safety while they're inside. Could find ourselves in a situation of vulnerability, and many people who never thought in any of their imaginations that they would be homeless have found that to be the case. The arena are always surprised at how calm it really is. When you have up to 400 people here a day, the level of incident reports are fairly minimal. Population, and we need to appreciate that they're here. One of the things that I think the Sullivan Arena Mass Shelter has shown is when you give people someplace inside where they can live and not be taking their stuff in and out of homeless shelters, but instead having a place to stay, that you can stabilize people and you can expect that there will be a reduction in crime or bad activity on the streets.
It's amazing how I got to where I'm at now. I've been working there almost 5 months as staff, but I didn't let homelessness become a part of my lifestyle. I decided that I would start volunteering my time in the kitchen and also look for my credentials exhaustively. And it ended up to where I caught some eyes of some shelter managers seeing my diligent effort in trying to get out of homelessness, and they asked me to put an application in. To my surprise and also to my joy, they hired me on as staff. And since then, I've appreciated being able to work as Beans Cafe monitor very much. I now have my own apartment where I stayed at the Daniel House Transitional Men's Living Sober House for a little while because you can't work here and live here.
Right, and thanks again, Lisa, for helping set up that video. I think it's great to hear the stories and just see the impact of all that work. Next, we're going to pass things over. We're going to go up north to Fairbanks and pass things over to Hannah Hill from the Breadline Inc. Hannah tried very hard to send us a video, but we just had a lot of technical difficulties. So I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for a moment so that you can see see Hannah's face instead, and then we'll get the slideshow back up. So Hannah, I'll pass it off to you.
Well, thanks so much. It turns out we're good at a lot of things, but technology may not be amongst those. So welcome to the Breadline. I'm Hannah. I'm the executive director here. And I just want to share a couple of updates about how we've changed our services and how we were able to pivot around in the pandemic here. So the Breadline's been doing its anti-hunger thing here in Fairbanks since 1986. And the pandemic impacted all of our programs here. We have 4 separate anti-hunger programs that we run out of Fairbanks. And every single one of them took some changing, as it were. We only had to close down one program entirely, and that was our Kids Cafe, which is because it is just too popular to be able to function like this. Normally, that's a family volunteering initiative where kids and their families come to our soup kitchen and they help make food, and we have a really good time, and we partner with the Children's Museum with that. But we decided not to do that since March. We do look forward to that opening again when it is safe to do as such. Otherwise, there's also our Stone's Throw program. It's a culinary job training program. We sort of joke that here at the Breadline, we believe in, you feed a man a fish, you teach a man to fish. We're just all about fish in every conceivable way there is. So one of our main programs is the Stone's Throw culinary job training program. Helps people get back on their feet and establish some new career skills if they're having some barriers to employment. So we deal with a lot of folks who are coming out of incarceration or overcoming addiction issues, traumatic brain injury, name it. Our motto for that is where you've been is not as important as where you're going. We believe in meeting people where they're at and moving forward. Unfortunately, with that also, the pandemic made it so that that's an in-person class that we teach here. And at least, initially there, it being such an unknown, we decided not to put people not in the same bubble, in the same very small, high heat and intense area together for safety. So we put a pause on that, but it gave us an excellent opportunity to develop an online library of resources, which has been an ongoing, like a goal we've had forever. So talk about a silver lining. We were able to then develop this, we're in the process of it still, but we are developing an online library of culinary job training and life skills that we're going to provide for free to people in our community, or anywhere it's going to be online, as well as work on future collaborations with partners that, as soon as we can, we'll be able to deepen our relationships that way and meet more people where they are at and able to teach them life skills and job skills as it stands. I would say arguably the most, the garden this year, we have a community garden that we run where we grow our own food and help others learn that urban agriculture is available to anybody with the resources to do it. So we provide some of the resources as well as the education on how to grow your own food. And that was just gangbusters this year, possibly because it was something that we could do outside with each other and be able to, be together safely outside. It was really an astonishing situation that it worked out so well for us. That was great. Garden was fantastic. And beyond that, I think what we're most known for here is our soup kitchen that we run. And that is the Stone Soup cafe. It's been going on for years and years up here. And that was the most challenging thing that we've had to overcome is, I'll tell you, in 2019, we thought we blew our numbers out of the water. In 2019, we served more people than we'd ever served before, with 31,156 meals coming out of our little soup kitchen here. And we were just tooting our own horn, being like, look how many meals we served. In 2020, we served 48,882 meals out of that one program. And it's been an astonishing lift. We've seen, as Cara noted, more people, more new people that have never needed our services before are here, and more folks who have relied on us before coming more often. So it's just a 1-2 combo of that need being lifted up. And also the majority of our volunteers for the soup kitchen tend to be elder folks, because they're retired, they're able to give this time during the day to serve, which means that at the beginning of the pandemic, we lost our entire volunteer crew. It was something of a thing to overcome on that also. But again, silver linings, our community stepped up, and younger folks who were perhaps furloughed or temporarily laid off or permanently laid off came and spent time with us. And we were able to, we never missed a day. We never missed a beat. We served more food than we've ever served in the history of this organization during some incredibly trying times. We also are lucky enough that none of our staff, knock on wood, contracted COVID despite the close proximity that we work with people. Also, as a low barrier facility, we anybody can come in and get meal service, which means that we can have some rowdy mornings, but not so many. It's generally pretty great. People have been wonderful in understanding what we're doing here in this. It was right in March, we were able to work with the Fairbanks Memorial Hospital and Public Health in order to create a COVID conscious serving system that we're still using today. So all of our food is to go, and we provide a full day's worth of meals at one time, along with gloves and hats and socks when it's cold out. Today, this morning, it was 30 below when we were serving our meals. We served 75 hot meals and 96 sack lunches, I want to say, but gave out just dozens of socks and hats and gloves and everything because, it's cold. It is 30 below, and that is a for real number there. We also worked with public health to do COVID testing amongst the population that we served this summer twice. That was fantastic. And that way we're able to source out resources for people who were infected, be able to get them into shelter while they worked through that illness. So that was very, very great for us on that, being able to partner and serve our guests on an even deeper level. So pandemic being all that it has been, I feel like we've learned a lot. We've deepened relationships that we already had. We found whole new ones, and really, as hard as any day may be, and I think that everybody here can attest to how hard this can be and has been over the past year, the support that's come out of the community is what drives us through every day. The fact that all of our food is being donated, like how much it is, the fact that when we ran out of socks and gloves last week, I put a call out on Friday, just kind of on Facebook, pretty casual, being like, if you have socks or gloves, right now I have a wall of socks and gloves and hats and hand warmers and boots and coats. Fairbanks just turned out. We had people mail them from Pennsylvania. It's astonishing. So thank you for the time to share our story a little bit. I wish my video had worked, because then you'd get to see some of the staff. There's just 6 of us here, and one of us currently just had a baby, so there's 5 of us currently doing this labor, but they're here, and we're all really grateful for the opportunity to share our story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And I'm also sad the video didn't work out, but more opportunities for the future. So now we're going to, I'm going to segue back to our slideshow in just a moment, but I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who shared their videos. We are just so grateful that we have this virtual platform so that we can highlight the work that's being done on the ground for all of you on the call, and just, there's so much happening all across the state. This is just really a snapshot. But as we know, the coalition and all of the nonprofits on the ground can't do all the work by themselves. So we wanted to take a moment just to highlight some of the other programs that have been very critical in responding to the increased need. And in this, we want to recognize the really great partnerships at the state. So the Division of Public Assistance and the Division of Education and Early Development have been critical in really helping respond to this need as well. Among many other things, we were lucky to receive many waivers and additional flexibilities for federal programs that are administered at the state level, including many child nutrition programs such as WIC, school meals, summer meals, etc., as well as SNAP waivers and flexibilities that helped us respond quickly to the need. We also, in Alaska, received hundreds of thousands of additional commodity foods through the Emergency Food Assistance Program that many of you may already be familiar with, as well as new programs like the Farmers to Families Food Box Program that brought a lot of good, fresh, high quality nutrition to families across the state. There were also lots of new programs that popped up for kids during the pandemic, including pandemic EBT that we're going to hear a little bit more about in a second, and a pilot program called Meals to You that brought meals to kids over the summer in hard to reach communities across the state. But right now, we wanted to turn back to Food Bank of Alaska. Food Bank of Alaska is just such an important partner for all of our Alaska Food Coalition members, both in getting food resources to pantries, but also as a place that clients can be referred specifically to the SNAP outreach team. So the Food Bank of Alaska SNAP outreach team has been working double time over the past year to make sure that everyone who needs application assistance for SNAP is able to access that, as well as played a critical role in getting out the pandemic EBT program, which provided some SNAP-like benefits to families to help make up the cost of school meals that were lost at the beginning of the year. So I want to hand things over to Anthony, the SNAP Outreach Manager at Food Bank of Alaska, just to talk briefly to some of those numbers. And Anthony, I'll get your slides up.
All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much, Eve. We'll get those slides up in a second, but just a brief moment about SNAP. SNAP is the program formerly known as food stamps, and our job here at the Food Bank of Alaska SNAP Outreach Team is if there's a barrier that exists for a client, our role is to support them in overcoming that barrier. So we provide a lot of application assistance. We also provide case status managements through access to the state database for SNAP cases. This is a pretty striking graph that you're looking at right here, and this is the year-over-year comparison between 2019 and 2020. Just to keep it very high level, we saw numbers in our assistance program that we've never seen before. Generally, as you can see, in 2019, we had 1 month that went over 100 assistances for our team. And then in 2020, there wasn't a single month that went under 100 assistances for our team. Just for total comparison, in 2019, our SNAP outreach team did 818 total assistances with clients. And in 2020, we did 2,298 assistances, almost a 300% increase year over year. What's important about this is that SNAP really represents a litmus of the larger situation. And we have the ability to have our finger on the pulse to really get a sense of what's going on in the lives of everyday Alaskans. And so very briefly, you can see the situation for SNAP has been significant increases across the board. Pandemic EBT was a huge program for us. We kind of stepped out of our lane a little bit to support the outreach for this federal program that reimbursed families for the cost of school meals. So when students miss meals at school that are federally funded, families had to make up that difference. So this program reimbursed those families for the costs that they incurred. We assisted over 12,000 families in making sure that their information was received by the state to get them the benefits. It was a huge program. We fielded thousands of phone calls, worked directly with the Division of Public Assistance and the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development. and across the board was very successful in reaching families and making sure that this benefit went out to Alaskans.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony, for sharing just a little snapshot. Just in closing for our slideshow, as you can tell, you know, a lot of the response over the past year and really always is really reliant on great partnerships between community members, community organizations, the state, the federal government, and of course, all of the legislators in the state of Alaska. And we're so grateful to have so many of you on the call today. Now we just want to open it up. We have a few minutes for some questions, and we'd love to hear from you what questions you have, what ideas you might have, and for the coalition members on the call as well, if there's anything else that you think is really critical that we missed, feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll be sharing that record out with everyone at the end of the webinar. So yeah, but for now, yeah, feel free to raise your hand, jump in, or just drop a question in the chat. All right, it looks like we have a question that's come up in our chat from Representative Tarr, who's asking who our best point of contact is to keep up to the minute on federal funding for our food programs. Cara, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, sure. Well, of course, aside from our partners at the state, you know, Division of Public Assistance, DEED child nutrition programs, they're certainly going to be the best contact there. But of course, Food Bank of Alaska, we try to keep on top of this, and especially, you know, the food box programs that we are running, as well as changes to SNAP, PEBT, and other programs. So people can reach out to me, and I'll put my email in the chat there.
We had another question come in from the chat that I'd like to put out to everyone. So Representative Drummond asked, the Department of Education received about $40 million for feeding children from the CARES Act. Did your organizations work with the Department of Education and Early Development to get these funds out to feed kids? So I don't know if there are any partners on the call that want to jump in.
This is Cara again. I can just add, I'm not sure exactly what the breakdown of that $40 million is, and I do see we have Anne Marie from DEED, so Anne Marie, feel free to jump in. But we partner extensively with DEED. I think, you know, supporting the work that they are doing, a lot of on there, and there were a lot of waivers and flexibilities that they worked with schools to put forward. I'd say the biggest program that we partnered, and I'm not sure if this is part of that $40 million, but was for the PEBT program, the pandemic EBT. We helped with outreach and the application assistance for that, and we'll hopefully be helping with the subsequent round.
Hi, this is Anne Marie from DEED, and Jo Dawson is the director. She's not on the call. I thought she was. So we have done everything we can do. We've taken every USDA waiver that's possible, implemented them here at the state of Alaska. We've worked with PEBT, so the schools are really a huge part of that, getting all of the documentation over to the SNAP folks. So we've taken advantage of every waiver possible and passed that on to all of our programs in the childcare arena, Head Start, schools, after school at risk programs, summer food. But I can't give you numbers, I'm sorry.
This is Lisa Sauder. I can talk a little bit about what we did on the child nutrition side and making sure that kids who were out of school still had access to meals. And we quickly realized that it wasn't just the children that were struggling, it was the entire family. So we really shifted a lot of our model into pantry packs, and we put out a fundraising appeal to the community, and we're able to raise enough money to cover 50,000 pantry packs and 200,000 meals. And we have successfully delivered more than 200,000 meals since we started this in March. And so we're kind of on phase 2 now. And we're doing that currently with private funds, not with federal dollars, but certainly working in tandem with our partners who are accessing the federal dollars so that we're not duplicating sites or services, and making sure that kids have access in as many spots as possible, and as well as, for the shelf-stable pantry packs for families.
Eve, I can cover some of the other questions that have come through if you like. So there was a question from Claire around SNAP, asking if SNAP applications increase, does that mean that more federal funds will come in to cover that? Is there a cap on the number of SNAP dollars that Alaska receives? So basically, SNAP benefits are 100% federally funded and guaranteed to anyone who is qualified for them. The administration is split 50-50 between federal and state funds. So I guess yes and no. There have been some additional federal money put aside for SNAP administration for this exact purpose, understanding that there are so many more people applying right now, as well as, this state, of course, is experiencing challenges just like the rest of us in just trying to do the day-to-day operations off-site and whatnot. So yes, I suppose there is, there was $100 million made available federally to states. I'm not sure what share Alaska will get or what the plan is for that, but it should help to cover some of that. And then the other question is there anything that can be done? This is from Andrew. Anything that can be done to work with grocery retailers in the state to help decrease the cost of transportation of food to the state? This is why food in Alaska is so expensive. Any ideas are welcome, possibly transportation infrastructure. Yes, this is a huge issue. And this is a good segue to plug some of our subsequent events that we have. So, and Eve will kind of go over all of this before we close, but this is the first of 3, lunch and learn webinars that we're doing as part of Food Security Week. And the one tomorrow is going to be focusing on transportation issues. Because this comes up time and time again. I mean, it's both getting the food into the state and then, of course, distributing it out within the state. So the Alaska Food Policy Council has really tried to take on this issue and host some different quarterly webinars on the topic, just understanding there is so much to do there. And then I'll just add, our grocery partners are such strong partners for the food bank. They really donate a ton and support us in so many ways, as do many of the transportation companies. We've got representatives from Tote and Matson on our board, both of whom are here, and just provide us with a tremendous amount of donated freight. So happy to have anybody else hop in on this issue, but I think it's something you should come to the webinar tomorrow. So there is another question from Karen in the chat. For the everyday person who wants to donate food to the food bank and or pantries, there is some confusion on preference of what type of food to donate where. Is it preferable to donate fresh produce to the pantry and more shelf-stable foods to the food bank, or vice versa, or does it not matter? I'm wondering if we've got someone from programs that wants to take this, or perhaps a partner.
Hi, Cara.
Hey, Sandy.
How you doing? You know, any kind of donation is very much welcome. Shelf stable is some of the best things that we can have in the food bank. We do get our farm to food boxes right now, which is a lot of produce coming in that we do share with all our partner agencies. And that has been a wonderful addition to our agency shopping downstairs. But either one is, it doesn't matter. And again, shelf stable food will last longer. And that's always something that we look for to keep on our shelves. That way, when somebody's taking it home, they don't have to cook it right away. They can start thinking about what kind of meals. The fresh produce is better for us sometimes with all the nutrients in it, but that would be the choice of the person donating.
Are there other questions? And again, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, this is Sharon in Seward. I work with He Will Provide. As far as donations are concerned, we take whatever we can get. And like you said, we're getting the Farmers to Family boxes for the month of February starting Thursday. And so we don't need, right at the moment, we don't need dairy or fresh produce because it's coming in those boxes and we don't have a big storage space. But we take whatever we can get and it's out the door. It doesn't last more than a week or two and it's gone. So our donations go out as fast as they come in.
Thanks so much, Sharon, for jumping in. Any other questions from anybody on the call? While you think about them, feel free to jump in or drop something in the chat, but I'll just kind of start some of our reminders for the end of the call. So as Cara mentioned earlier, this is just the first in a series of 3 webinars on the food system. So tomorrow there'll be a session at the same time on food transportation in Alaska. And then on Thursday, there'll be one on food production. And both of those are going to have some videos getting you on the ground views of what things look like across the state. I also want to let everyone know that there will also be a film screening on, I believe, Thursday night of Eating Alaska with a panel presentation. And for more information about that, I think you can go on Facebook and go to Food Bank of Alaska, the Alaska Food Policy Council, and you can also see Robbie dropped a link in the chat as well for some of the events. And then if you do come up with questions, we are always here as a network to be a resource for you. So you can send emails to anyone that you might be connected with, but I'm also going to drop my email in the chat and feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to connect you with anyone across the state for any questions you might have. Right, Garen, did you, Representative Tarr, did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we close out?
I just want to say thanks again. Awesome event. I learned a ton and I'm just so thankful that all of you are working so hard to keep Alaskans fed and help people through this time. And I can't believe I forgot to say at the beginning, I felt really cool when I got my sticker supporting Food Security Awareness Week. Like, we're a real thing. We've become something here. We've got our own stickers. So thank you. And I hope folks will be able to join the events for the rest of the week. It's going to be really good. And just keep up the great work, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much, Representative Tarr and Kronk and Rauscher and Snyder. We really appreciate all of you supporting this work.
Okay, Eve,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you also. I appreciate all the hard work putting this program together. It takes a lot of coordination. It takes a lot of people who are really dedicated, and I just want you all to know that I'm very proud of what you're all doing. I also learned a lot, and I look forward to. I always have work because our community has one in our community, but we will always appreciate what you're doing, and we look forward to working even harder with you this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, well, I'm gonna stop the recording, so we'll look forward to seeing you all at the rest of our sessions tomorrow and Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.